Hey kids, welcome to our series Battle Zone. I'm really excited about this because this is the first series of 2021 and it is an incredible series talking about all the biggest battles of the Bible. We're going to learn what it takes to win a victory in life's toughest battles. Have you ever had someone tell you that you were too young to do something? Doesn't that just drive you crazy? Sometimes they tell us we're too old to do things, and that drives us crazy too. But maybe you were too young to ride the roller coaster at the amusement park or too young to stay at home by yourself. So you had to have your older sibling stay at home with you and babysit you. That's a bummer, huh? I know it is. There are lots of times in life when you may be told you are too young, even though you are still a kid. There are some things you are not too young to do. We're going to learn about one of those things today from a young hero in the Bible. But right now, I want you to check out this video.
Well, after months of training, this morning it was a 5 o'clock start. We had the snails out on the gallops.
Man, this show is so boring.
Well, you picked it.
Well, that doesn't mean I want to watch it.
Why would you pick a show that you have no interest in watching?
I don't know. It sounded fun.
Snail races? Really?
Well, I always wondered how the snails put their sneakers on. It's time!
My name's Matt.
My name is Mason.
My brother and I have a long-standing tradition.
Every day at the exact same time,
We enter,
the Battle Zone.
but it's not just any battle zone.
We've been having Nerf wars since we were little kids.
And today,
He's going down.
he's going down.
You boys better get in place. Ready?
Aw, man, I didn't find a good hiding spot. I need to use my tactical skills to find out where Mason is. Oh, that was close. Looks like Mason's got the high ground. He's got a gun that can shoot one of those little puffy Nerf bullets all the way over here. This little wimpy gun won't shoot that far. What am I gonna do? I need to get across the yard to get that bigger gun. But if I set foot around this tree, Mason's gonna get me for sure. The only way is to run all the way across the yard. It's a huge risk. But it's just like David in the Bible story I read. If you don't risk it, you don't win the victory. I've got to risk it for the biscuit.
Oh man!
Ah, yes! It's like I said, kids. If you don't take a risk, you'll never win the victory. God will help you in the battle zone if you trust Him and take the risk. You'll learn more about this in your lesson today, and we'll see you next time in the battle zone.
Best 2 out of 3?
Boys, come in. I've made some meatloaf.
Great.
Today we learned about one of the most famous stories of the Bible. It began with the army of Israel, God's chosen people, and they were in trouble. They were in a terrible situation. They were being challenged by their enemies, the Philistines. If they lose, They would become slaves to the Philistines, which would not be good. There was a young boy named David who arrived at the battle. And when he arrived, he was bringing food for his brothers that were fighting. He noticed that all the soldiers looked upset and scared. Suddenly, he realized why they looked so scared. There was a giant named Goliath, and he was the champion of the Philistines. And he was screaming, "Send me a man who will fight me." So, as David looked around, he noticed all of the soldiers looked scared, and no one was willing to take the risk to fight him. And he just couldn't believe it. So he spoke up and said, "I'll fight the giant." The soldiers laughed at him. Everyone tried to talk David out of it. They did not want him to fight Goliath because they knew he was so small. When that didn't work, the king even offered David his armor. But the armor didn't fit because David was just a kid. So David just decided to take a huge risk and fight Goliath on his own with how he knew to fight. David was a shepherd, and he was used to defending his sheep with a slingshot. So he went to a nearby stream and pulled 5 smooth stones and headed out to face Goliath. Goliath obviously was not impressed. He made fun of David because he was just a kid, but that did not matter to David. He knew that God was on his side. David yelled back at Goliath, "I come to you in the name of the Lord. This is his battle." David took his slingshot, loaded one of the stones into it. He hurled it around and around and let it fly. It soared through the air until it finally found its target. It hit Goliath right between the eyes, knocked him to the ground, and he was completely unconscious. David ran over and realized that he had killed the giant right there in the middle of the field. He couldn't believe it. He had defeated Goliath, and God was already getting the victory. So imagine if David had not been willing to take that risk. If he had given in to his fear and not fought, the entire nation of Israel would have been slave to the Philistines. That would not have been good. But because he took the risk, that didn't happen. So now let's talk about a couple of things that can relate this to your everyday life. Let's think about a story. Maybe you feel like God is asking you to be friends with somebody at school that gets made fun of, and you're worried that it's going to cause you to get made fun of too. That's a huge risk, right? And you just don't want to face that situation, but you know you have to. Sometimes things seem risky, but remember, you must be willing to risk and do what's right. That's the number one point. Number 2 is you need to remember you fight in God's power, not in your own. And number 3, if you take the risk, God will provide the victory.
Voila! Hello, boys and girls. Once again, this is I, Presto Changeo, the world's greatest prestidigit magic guy. You get it? Well, once again, I am here to boggle your mind and tickle your senses with today's Power Verse. Today's Power Verse says,
"The Lord is my light and my salvation. So why should I be afraid?" Psalm 27:1.
Isn't that a spectacular Power Verse? Ah, yes, be amazed. But just like I do at all of my sold-out shows around the world, well, really in front of the grocery store before they call the police, I am going to make things disappear with the help of my handy-dandy assistant, Hokey.
It's Hocus. I'm not hokey, and I'm not pokey. It's Hocus Pocus. Now, can we just get on with the Power Verse?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Now it is time to make part of the Power Verse disappear. Watch. Ah, yes. Now, which words should I make disappear? How about this one? And this one? Yes! Now, boys and girls, you shall all say the Power Verse with Hokey.
It's Hocus.
Whatever, man. Come on, work with me here. All right, everyone on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. So why should I be afraid? Psalm 27:1.
That was pretty amazing, but prepare to be amazed. I'm going to now make even more words vanish before your eyes. Like this one. Ha ha! Now, let's just see how well you kids remember it. Say it with me now on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3!
The Lord is my light and my salvation. So why should I be afraid? Psalm 27:1.
Good job! Now for my greatest trick ever!
Not really.
Quit your yapping before I turn you into a glove. All right, boys and girls, it is now time for my greatest trick. I shall make myself disappear. This is Presto Changeo saying, now you see me. Now you don't. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Pumpernickel chili fries.
All right, kids, now it's time to rewind. Question number 1. What you got to know today? Is it A, risk it all for the biscuit? B, I will risk it all? Or C, if I take a risk, God will bring the victory? Correct. The answer is C. If I take a risk, God will bring the victory. Question number 2. What was the name of the boy who took on the giant in our Bible story? Was it David, Danny, or Dean? That is correct. David. Question 3. Who are the people who were threatening to enslave the Israelites? Is it A, the Moabites, B, the Philistines, or C, the meanieheads? Correct. It was the Philistines. Question number 4. Who was the champion of the Philistines? Was it A, Gary? Could it have been Garth? Or was it Goliath? That is right. It was Goliath. Number 5. How tall was Goliath? Was he 2 feet tall, 6 feet tall, or over 9 feet tall? That is correct. Over 9 feet tall. He was a big guy. Moving on to number 6. How did David defeat Goliath? Was it through A, a sucker punch, B, slingshot, or C, did he just have some sticks? That's right. Got him with a slingshot. Next question. According to our lesson today, I must be willing to do blank to do what's right. Is it A, risk, B, sing, or C, lie? That's right. I must be willing to risk and do what's right. Number 8, according to our lesson today, I fight in blank power, not my own. Is it A, Earth's, B, David's, or C, God's? That is correct. We fight in God's power, not our own. Question 9, according to our lesson today, if I take a risk, God will bring the blank. Is it A, a trophy, B, victory, or chips and dip? Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be victory. God will always bring the victory. Now, last question. Where was our power verse found? Is it A, Goliath 1/7, B, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11, or C, Psalms 27:1? Yes, Psalms 27:1. Thank you, kids, for joining us today. We miss you. We hope that 2021 has started off great for you. This is going to be an incredible series, and we can't wait to keep going through this as the week progresses. Also, please remember, if you have any prayer requests or needs, please click on the link in the comment sections, and we will have a team of people praying for your needs. We miss you. God bless you, and have a great week.
I've got a totally cool new way to learn the books of the Bible.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus.